What's up YouTube? Scott, Skynet Tradition back with another video. I'm going to make this video about my 2024 hobby goals. Been seeing a lot of videos out there about hobby goals and um, thought I'd take some time, look back at 2023 and see how that went, and then put a few ideas on paper for 2024. So if you watch my year in review video, which I did I think a couple videos ago, that kind of went into all the cards that I picked up last year, and they were definitely Packers heavy. There was a lot of I feel like I did really well last year for my Packers collection. Was able to add everything from some um, Team Hall of Fame autographs. I had a few upgrades last year to my Team Hall of Fame set, which that does not happen every year just because of where I'm at with the set. You know, there's just slightly over 100 cards in that set, and they're they just cards don't come up. I already have them, many of them in as high as grades as are reasonably going to be possible. But even just saying that, I was able to upgrade my Larry Craig 1950 Bowman rookie card. I had that in an 8 and moved up to an 8.5, and was able to sell my 8 to a friend who also is working on the same set, so that worked out well. Um, I was able to grab a PSA 9 rookie card of Dan Curry from 59 Tops. That is the second PSA 9 Dan Curry I have. Not sure if I'm going to sell the other one yet, but as of now I have two, so that's kind of cool. And that's definitely a little different than I normally do it. But I just saw that as a quality card that I really just couldn't let go, that just doesn't come up a lot. So that's one thing I did, and I did the same thing with Gail Gillingham from 1970 Tops, his rookie card. Um, I had one at a 10 already, and I grabbed another 10 this year that I thought looked a little bit better than the one that I had. So now I have two 10s as well. Still not sure what I'm going to do with that other one. But again, I just looked at it as adding another quality card that doesn't come up very often. And then probably the biggest addition last year was the Clark Hinkle 1935 National Chickle card that I added in a PSA 8. And I just thought it was a very beautiful copy. I already had an 8 again. Usually don't add doubles. That's not something I have historically done in my collecting, but I did that a few times last year. I just saw quality and decided to add it, and then I'm going to kind of see if I want to sell my other one or hold on to both for now. So that was kind of interesting. Ironically, and I thought I got that Hinkle for a pretty good deal back in October, and there's one actually at Memory Lane right now up at auction that's already, I think it's at like $9,100 with the buyer's premium, so it's doing really well. Definitely quite a bit more than the one that I picked up went for. So pretty happy with that, to see that one kind of going so high. Both are really nice examples. I think the one that I picked up and then the one at Memory Lane as well. So we'll see where that one ends up. But yeah, I was able to add a couple doubles and one upgrade specifically to that Team Hall of Fame set last year. So that was cool. I added a lot of game used patches, that kind of thing. Those of you who have followed my channel know that that's a big part of my collection. Game used stuff from like that, late 90s to 2010 era specifically. That's a really good time for me in that time period. So I was able to do really well with that. I added some cool ancillary pieces, some like Cons and Wieners cards. Um, I added the Ice Bowl program from Dave's Basement Collection, which was really cool. Or excuse me, the Super Bowl one program from that collection, which was really cool to add. So I did just a great job this year blowing up the Packers collection specifically. And as I said in my video, I picked up over 50 items this year, which is higher than any. I think it's higher than the last couple years combined, and just a lot of items. And on top of that, from January to July of this past year, I only picked up 9 items. So really, the most of the picking up of things was from July to December, and there's a few reasons for that. Obviously, the National was in there. I didn't pick up that much at the National, but that kind of started some momentum, I think, for the collection. And after that, there was just a lot of items that came available. I feel like that I hadn't seen in a while. So it's just kind of a matter of opportunity more than anything. But in that second half of the year, I added over 40 items to the collection, which is pretty remarkable, and that's not a number I usually add all at once like that. So in 2024, I think some of my goals would be definitely to add less items. Again, 50 over 50 items is a little out of the norm for me. If I added half of that this year, I think I'd be pretty pleased with that, and also not spend as much money. So I'm kind of always, I think, as a lot of us collectors are, we're always fighting with that mentality of how much do I keep adding? You know, how much do I want in this collection before it gets to be unmanageable? I mean, I feel like as of right now, and I've been at this for a good decade now, um, the point the collection's got to is still manageable. But at some point, if you just keep adding on every single year, it's like it's not going to be manageable at some point. So you know, I may look to consolidate a few things this year. Some things I'm not really into or just like put away and I haven't looked at in a while that don't kind of go with the main collection. We'll see kind of how that goes. I think I say that every year and then I end up just not selling much, um, just out of necessity because I really don't have to. But um, kind of getting to that point where I'd like to uh, just trim it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of keep the main things I collect and the quality stuff, and because I'm getting quite a few things that are stowed away that I just haven't looked at in a while, and to me it's kind of cool. What's the point of having all that stuff necessarily if you can't remember it or even get a chance to look at it maybe but once a year? So we'll see how that goes. Items specifically that I'd like to focus on in 2024. Obviously, adding more Packer Team Hall of Fame cards or upgrades would be fine. Usually they add 1 or 2 players per year, so I'm always watching when the Packer Team Hall of Fame announcement comes out, and I'll try to find those cards. But also any upgrades. Technically, this past year I was only able to do one upgrade, and it was only a half a grade. And then I picked up a few dupes of cards. So knowing full well that that's not super common to be able to upgrade, you know, I may not upgrade any cards this year, but I'm always on the lookout for it. And then I'm also doing the Packer Team Hall of Fame autograph set alongside. So, which I've done pretty well. I think I'm over halfway there as far as Team Hall of Fame rookie autographs goes. There's some that are going to be impossible to find that I highly doubt even exist. But I'm just kind of trying to do the best I can with it. And if I can't find a rookie card autograph, maybe I'll end up just finding another autograph card of the player to go along with it. And what I plan on doing is kind of uploading the autograph cards next to the actual card I have in the Team Hall of Fame set registry, just so you can see like the card I have in higher grade and then an autograph version of that same card. So that's pretty cool. Um, I actually do have one item coming in the mail, which should be here in the next week, that kind of starts off that collecting side of things for the year. I kind of had a cool pickup in that category. So yeah, the Packer Team Hall of Fame set and the autograph set that I'm doing alongside of it. Those are going to be my two main focuses, as that pretty much has been every year for the last 10 years. And I think that's very important as a collector, just to have something that you mainly focus on. And then you can kind of branch off from there a little bit. But like for me, if I didn't have that, I would be all over the place. So that's going to be my main focus. Um, and then also, I'd like to add a few pre Hall of Fame rookie cards of Packers. So I'll always have my eye out on kind of looking at a few 61 Lake to Lake cards that I don't have. That's one thing. And some of the older stuff, like the 32 Packers Walkers Cleaners, which are highly unlikely to come up on eBay. But so I'll have to look at other areas for that. Or also like the 33 matchbooks. You can get some early Packers in that. There wasn't a lot of cards back then of pro football players. So you got to kind of expand out to the types of things you collect. So those are two other areas I'll be looking at. Um, I would love to pick up a 61 Fleer, Will Chamberlain, and Jerry West rookie card. These have been on my watch list for like 7 years, I think, and for whatever reason, I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. I do have the Oscar Robertson already from that set, and then I wanted to add those two as well. Really love the colors of that set, just very cool. They have come down in price a little bit, but you're also still not seeing like a ton come up for sale. I get the feeling that a lot of people bought in heavy on those cards, and they're just not willing to sell for where they're at right now. And yeah, so it'd be really cool to find for reasonable, like nicely centered mid-grade copies of those two cards. We'll see. Those, like I say, those are on the list almost every year, and I just haven't added them yet. I would like to add one nice Jordan Love rookie card, whether that be a gold example or a contenders auto or something like that. He's been playing really well for the Packers. I don't have anything Jordan Love. I'm not going to go crazy with Jordan Love, but I would like to have one card of him. Ultimately, I am a fan of the team, and he's actually probably been the MVP of the league in the second half of the season. So he's done really well with very little around him. So would really love to add a cool Jordan Love rookie card. Probably would do that in the off season sometime though. He's probably pretty hot right now, and I don't would to add it now would be pretty risky move in my opinion. So we'll see. I'd like to add one or two vintage baseball rookie cards as well. Um, Really didn't add any vintage baseball rookie cards last year in 23. The only two vintage cards, period, I added were the 54 Topps Jackie and Ted Williams I picked up at the National. So I'd like to do a little bit better job in that category. Specifically looking at the 48 Stan Musial. That's a card that I should have won this year, but PWCC messed up the auction and put it back up for auction, and I didn't get it, unfortunately. So um, not the end of the world, but it means I still don't have a 48 Musial. So that's one card I'd like to look at. But with this stuff, it's all about opportunity too. Maybe it's another card that'll present itself that I could add to. We'll see. And then that's the same thing for vintage football. I think the only non-Packer vintage football card I added in 23 was the Kenny Washington 48 Bowman that I picked up at the end of the year. So I have not added many of those. But cards that I'm looking at are like the 48 Leaf Chuck Bednarik, the 50 Bowman Y.A. Tittle, and then the 61 Fleer Lance Alworth and Len Dawson. So those cards have gone really high in price, and they're very hard to find in high grade in center. They just don't come centered very often. So those are four examples of cards I'm kind of looking at. Would also not mind picking up like a 66 Philadelphia Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers rookie card either. Those are two cards that I wouldn't mind adding, even though they're Bears. And we got a big Packers-Bears game coming up tomorrow here in Green Bay. But we'll see. You know, those are cards I'd like to pick up, but it just kind of depends on what presents itself. Also, like continue focusing on quality game use patch cards from like the late 90s to the 2010s. That's kind of the time period that I like to collect, and was able to add some cool ones last year, and that's something I like always have my eye on, and you just never know what's going to come up for sale. A lot of these types of cards have been in collections for the last 20 years, so it just depends who's selling what and when. But I have a feeling there are some stockpiles out there and some collections. Something I've wanted to add for the last couple years has been a Hank Aaron autograph card. I have his 54 Topps rookie in the grade of a 5, but I don't know if I'd want to add like a rookie card autographed of him or like a product issued card with like some kind of like game used type stuff on it too. Like he doesn't have like a ton out there in that category, and they're certainly not cheap either. So that's kind of on the list, and that's been on the list for a few years as well. So we'll see. And then the last thing I have is Star Trek autograph cards. So I'm a huge fan of the series of Star Trek. Watched every single episode of everything from the original series to Next Generation to Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise. Recently just finished the Star Trek Picard series on Paramount, and I actually thought that was really good. It was really well done, and it was nice to see a lot of the old actors kind of come back for that series. And it kind of got me thinking, like, that'd be kind of a cool non-sports set to collect. I have one autograph already. It's a Robert Picardo, who plays the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, who I'm a big fan of. Very, inexpensive card, but just a cool card nonetheless. And kind of just getting like one autograph card per character, something like that would be something fun I could do. But again, I kind of always go back to exactly how many cards do I want? How many do I need? I don't know. If it's in an inexpensive project, it might just be kind of fun to do, but I don't really want to spend like obscene amounts of money on it either. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, those are some 2024 goals. We'll see. within that, I always just try to be an opportunist, and maybe something comes up that I didn't have on my goals list, and it just kind of speaks to you when it comes up. I think that's important too, not to be too rigid and to stick to only your goals, but to be a little bit flexible and kind of know when those rare items come up and when to jump on them. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I definitely would like to add some less number of items and probably less money going out this year too, and maybe consolidate a few things. We'll kind of see what happens. Um, all right, well, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I'm interested into watching some of your goal videos as well. I've already watched several, so keep the videos coming. These are always fun for me to watch, just to see where your collection's going and what kind of shape it's going to take. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.